The holidays are coming up, which is why I decided to put together this $1,000 PC build guide so that you can maximize your money at home and get a PC that's going to serve you well for the next years to come. And all of that is possible thanks to an incredible deal that we got on the GPU that's in this system thanks to today's video sponsor, AliExpress. Because right now, AliExpress has their largest annual sale of the year. It's the best time to shop on AliExpress. It's their Singles Day sale and it's going on from now until November 17th. And there's a whole host of savings that you get, especially that you can apply towards the graphics card. For every $20 in purchases, you get a $4 discount. And then if you use our code ALLONAE, you get $25 orders off of $100. And then you get an exclusive code on this graphics card from us with the code AEUS100 for $100 off, making this GPU that we have in this system at a very, very competitive price point, especially for how well it does perform, especially when you put it together with this UPerfect monitor that AliExpress also sent over. This is a 16-inch 2560 by 1600, 120 Hertz, 500 nits display. We're going to talk about that in a little bit, but we're going to start off with the rest of the parts selection. We're going most affordable when it comes to AMD on the CPU side. And there's no better entry-level chip that's going to last you for years to come and give you a solid upgrade path than the Ryzen 5 7600. These things are continuously on sale, 6 cores, 12 threads, over 5 gigahertz. It's going to play games and do productivity very well. But in order to keep this all under $1,000, we did have to make some sacrifices in some places, and namely that's with the motherboard. We went with the A620M, namely this ASRock Pro model, because that kept the cost down but puts us in a micro ATX form factor. However, despite the fact that A620 is the lowest version of the chipset that AMD offers this generation, it really doesn't have any features that we're missing. There's plenty of heat sinks to make sure that the VRM is staying cool. It has the PCI Express 4.0 support that we're going to need for the SSD, and it has all of the RAM support that we need. A620 might be low end, but it definitely does not skimp on any features that you could possibly want. And the best part is that this motherboard has built-in Wi-Fi, so you don't have to go out and find a $10 to $15 little dongle. Now with the 7600, you do get a stock cooler included in the box, and you can choose to go with this, and it more than likely will serve you very well. You could paint it white in order to match the aesthetic, but for less than $30, I decided to go ahead and spring with the ID Cooling SE224 XTS White. This thing completes the color scheme, looks gorgeous in the system that we built, and keeps our 7600 cool. It's a very low power consumption processor, a 65 watt TDP. Spending little on your CPU cooling budget is honestly preferred here. This cooler does technically push us up over $1,000, which is why we're considering it optional for this build. For RAM, DDR5 is not terribly expensive. It's at 5,600 megatransfers on this Patriot Viper Venom 16 gigabyte kit. It is not as cheap as you could probably get a DDR4 kit for, but for DDR5, this is very affordable. The only issue that I have with this Viper Venom is that on one side of the stick, the heatsink is completely missing and it's just the bare PCB. I decided to put it in a way that you couldn't actually see that as an issue when you have the system fully assembled, but you could just return it and get a new kit yourself. For storage, I really think there's no reason to go for less than 1 terabyte. You could potentially even spring for 2 terabytes if you have a little wiggle room in that $1,000 budget. We're using the Crucial P3 Plus. I went with 2 terabytes because that's all I had on hand, but a 1 terabyte kit is going to cost you less than $50 and it's going to be plenty of storage. However, it might not be enough for Modern Warfare 3, which is going to take up nearly 300 gigabytes, but it's a good starting place, especially if you want to install some hard drives, which you can definitely do in this gorgeous micro ATX chassis. This is the Fractal Pop Air Mini, or if you read the box, the Fractal Pop Mini Air. Micro ATX comes included with 3 addressable RGB fans, has room for SSDs on the back, has room for hard drives underneath. It's super easy to build in. There's plenty of space for cable management and routing all of the cables. It does not take a lot to actually get things like the CPU power cable plugged in. All of that works incredibly well. Powering this, we have the Thermaltake SMART BM3. The one we went with was 750 watts since that's what we had on hand, but the 650 watt version is markedly cheaper, so you don't have to go 750 watts. And especially with the graphics card that we use, we don't need 750 watts. 650 is putting us in that sweet spot of using half of the resources of the power supply to be at peak efficiency. But 750 watts in this particular build does give us room to upgrade later on. And rounding out the optional side of things, we do have this set of Asia Horse cable extensions in white with black cable combs to make sure that the aesthetics pop on this bad boy. But now let's talk about the GPU. Thanks to AliExpress, as I mentioned, with all of those discount codes that you get, all on AE for $25 off orders on $100, AE US 100 for an extra $100 off on the GPU specifically. That has our RTX 4060 Ti coming at well under $400, which makes it very competitive even with other AMD GPUs out on the market. Intel's Arc A770 doesn't really meet the performance of the 4060 Ti and comes in considerably less, but thanks to the specific discounts that we got from AliExpress on this deal for their Singles Day sale, this puts this build at under $1,000 with a 4060 Ti slotted in. And you can check out all of the links for AliExpress and this GPU at the link in the video description, but I know you want to know how this computer performs. So let's go ahead and take a look at the benchmarks. I like to run 60 class cards at 1080p high settings. That's where I really find the sweet spot is, because then you're making the most of any high refresh rate monitor that you actually picked up, even in AAA titles. So let's take a look at the number. In the brand new CS2 launch, we got 308.7 FPS, again at 1080p high. Cyberpunk, we managed 146 FPS. In Returnal, we managed 119 FPS. In Starfield, it was 110. In The Witcher 3, it was 101. In Modern Warfare 2, not 3 because that wasn't out when I had to benchmark it, we managed to hit 120.8 FPS. In Assassin's Creed Mirage, we pulled up 182.6 FPS, and in the hottest GPU benchmark out on the market right now, Alan Wake 2, we managed to get a smack total of 60.3 FPS. This is without any supreme upscaling turned on. Display resolution was set to 100%. Alan Wake 2 absolutely punched this GPU in the face, so definitely make sure to turn on DLSS and do some other tweaking in order to play that game at 1080p. But as I mentioned, AliExpress also provided us with this UPerfect monitor, 2560 by 1600, 16 by 10 aspect ratio, which is perfect for any sort of productivity working that you're trying to get done. That gives you more vertical screen real estate for things like making documents or web browsing. It's great, but it's also fantastic for gaming. As I mentioned, it has 500 nits peak brightness, which is good enough for HDR. It also has 120 hertz refresh rate, again, making it incredibly good for gaming. It also has 100% of the sRGB color space. It's an IPS panel, so viewing angles are good no matter how you're looking at it. It's off axis to the camera right now, and the colors are still being reproduced immaculately. Now, the 4060 Ti can drive this at 120 hertz in specific games. We tested it out at 2560 by 1600, still at high settings. I didn't bother with Alan Wake 2 because I realized we weren't even gonna hit that 120 hertz. But in Counter-Strike 2, we're averaging 211.7 FPS. This is gonna be great for an on-the-go gaming setup in a micro ATX chassis with a portable gaming monitor that's actually capable of delivering gaming quality results. You're gonna be able to take this out and play esports titles at the hotel, wherever you're traveling, long-term vacation, something like that. This is gonna hit that point for you. Going to college, this is gonna make it so that you have a very simplified desk setup. In Cyberpunk, we managed 92.8 FPS. In Returnal, it was 88.8. In Modern Warfare 2, it was 80. And in Assassin's Creed Mirage, we managed to hit 169.5 FPS. So the 4060 Ti can still hold its own in 2560 by 1600 or just a little bit more than 1440p. At 1080p, it absolutely crushes it, dropping the resolution down on this UPerfect monitor to 1080p. You're gonna hit that 120 hertz, no problem. And you're gonna be able to game while you're traveling, while you're off to school, with a very capable machine for under $1,000, as I mentioned. Our total price with the CPU cooler included is $1,004. Without the cooler, we managed to land in at $977, leaving you a little bit of wiggle room for shipping and taxes and all of that. Overall, a very capable system for $1,000, and don't forget to check out AliExpress's biggest sale of the year, the Singles Day sale. It's the best time to shop on AliExpress. Don't forget, we do have those codes down below. For every $20 that you spend, you get $4 in a coupon. If you spend over $100, you can get $25 off using the code ALLONAE. And then if you use our code AEUS100, you can get $100 off this MSI RTX 4060 Ti Ventus 3X. Big thanks to AliExpress for sponsoring this video. I hope you check out this $1,000 PC build that we have linked in the video description. And we'll be back with more PC build guides, recommendations, and reviews in the future, my friends.